Okay, so today we're doing a deep dive into one of those videos I always see online.
Oh, yeah.
It's called 9 Weird Ways to Lose Belly Fat at Home.
Okay.
I mean, some of them are probably not that weird,
Yeah.
but I guess we'll find out.
Right.
I mean, everyone wants to lose belly fat, right?
It's a common goal for sure.
So let's just jump into it. The first tip is prioritize protein.
Yeah,
I feel like we hear that all the time, though.
we do, but there's a reason for that. Protein helps you feel fuller for longer, and it also helps preserve muscle mass when you're losing weight.
Which is important, right? Because
Yeah.
you don't want to just lose weight. You want to lose fat and keep the muscle.
Exactly.
Okay, the next one is ditch sugary drinks. This one hit home for me.
Yeah.
I was like a total iced latte addict. And I thought I was being healthy with my coffee, but
Yeah.
those syrups?
The syrups are loaded with sugar.
I know.
Yeah.
Once I figured out how much sugar I was drinking, it was kind of horrifying.
It's like a hidden sugar bomb.
Right. Okay, so the next tip is embrace soluble fiber. I mean, I know fiber is good for us, but soluble fiber, that sounds very specific.
Yeah, so soluble fiber is a type of fiber that absorbs water in your digestive system,
Okay.
and it forms this gel-like substance, and that gel slows down digestion, which makes you feel fuller longer.
I see.
But also, it can target visceral fat specifically, which is the fat that's around your organs and contributes to belly fat.
Wait, so it like goes in and attacks the belly fat?
Well, it helps to reduce it. That's why foods like oats and beans and flax seeds are so good for you.
Interesting. All right, let's move on to reduce stress.
Okay.
I am a stress baker.
Yeah.
If I'm stressed, I just bake. So that's probably not helping my belly fat situation.
Probably not. Baking can be a good way to release stress, but you have to watch what you eat.
True. So is there like a real connection between stress and belly fat?
Definitely. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol.
Right.
And cortisol is a hormone that can lead to increased fat storage, especially around the belly.
So stress is like a magnet for belly fat. Ugh.
It can be tough to manage, but it's important to find healthy ways to cope with stress.
Okay, that makes sense. The next tip is get enough sleep.
Ah, yes, sleep.
I have to admit, when I saw this tip, I was kind of rolling my eyes.
Like you can just sleep your way to a flat belly.
Exactly. But then I remembered how much I crave junk food when I'm sleep deprived.
There you go.
So is there a connection there too?
Oh, absolutely. Lack of sleep messes with your hormones,
Oh no.
the ones that regulate your appetite.
Okay.
So when you don't get enough sleep, your body produces more of the hunger hormone and less of the one that makes you feel full.
So you just want to eat everything.
Pretty much. Plus, when you're tired, you're more likely to store calories as fat,
Right.
especially in the belly area.
Get the double whammy.
Right.
Okay. This next tip is a little out there. Apple cider vinegar.
Mmm.
I've heard about apple cider vinegar, but I don't really know much about it.
Yeah, it's become really popular.
So does it actually help with belly fat?
The research is kind of mixed on that. It's
Right.
not like a miracle cure or anything.
So no magic bullet.
Nope. But some studies show that it might help regulate blood sugar levels and improve insulin sensitivity.
Oh, interesting. Because I definitely get those blood sugar crashes where I just crave sugar.
Right, so it could potentially help with that.
I might have to try it. I just heard it doesn't taste very good.
You can add some honey or lemon to it to make it more palatable.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on to tip number 7, HIIT at home.
All right. I
actually really like HIIT workouts.
Me too.
But the thought of doing burpees in my living room is kind of embarrassing.
I get that. But you don't have to do the super intense moves. You can modify them to fit your fitness level.
Oh, okay.
And there are tons of free HIIT workout videos online.
That's true. I guess I can just close the curtains.
There you go. No more excuses.
Right.
All right.
Okay, this next one is something I really need to work on.
What's that?
Mindful eating.
Ah, yes.
I am a champion mindless eater. Like, I will devour a whole bag of chips without even realizing it.
I think we've all been there.
It's like my hand just goes on autopilot.
But mindful eating is about paying attention to what you're eating and savoring the experience.
You know, it's funny. My grandmother used to always tell me to slow down and chew my food properly.
Oh, yeah.
I thought she was just being old-fashioned.
Well, she was right.
I guess so. It's about appreciating your food instead of just inhaling it.
Exactly.
Okay, last tip. Neat activities.
Okay.
I had to look this one up. What is NEAT?
It stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis.
Okay.
So it's all the calories you burn from everyday activities that aren't exercise.
Like walking and stuff.
Yeah, like walking, cleaning the house, even just fidgeting.
That's awesome. So you get credit for just moving around.
Exactly.
Hey,
And it all adds up.
I love that. Talking about all this makes me think about my own experience with like health and fitness.
Oh, yeah.
I used to be such a yo-yo dieter,
I think a lot of people go through that.
like always trying the next fad diet, but it never really worked.
Right. It's not about quick fixes. It's about making sustainable changes.
Exactly. And it's not just about the physical changes either. It's like a mental shift too,
Oh, absolutely.
like learning to listen to my body and being patient with myself.
It's a journey.
It really is. I want to go back to that reduce stress tip for a second.
Yeah.
It's easy to say reduce stress, but it's so hard to actually do it.
It is.
I remember when I was working like crazy hours and just feeling completely overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah.
I was living on caffeine and takeout, and my sleep was all messed up.
Sounds stressful.
It was. And my body was not happy. I was tired all the time. My digestion was a mess.
Yeah.
And I had this like layer of belly fat that just wouldn't go away.
Yeah, stress can really do a number on your body.
It really can. I finally realized that I needed to like seriously change my lifestyle.
Hmm.
And part of that was finding ways to manage my stress.
That's great that you recognize that.
Yeah, it took some time to figure out what worked for me.
Hmm.
But I eventually discovered things like meditation and yoga.
Oh, nice.
I know it sounds kind of cliche,
Yeah.
but honestly, they made a huge difference for me.
They can be really powerful tools.
They are. At first, it was like meditation,
Yeah.
sitting still and focusing on my breath. That sounds so boring.
Uh-huh.
But once I started doing it, I noticed a big change in my stress levels
Yeah.
and just my overall well-being.
I can imagine.
Something else that helped me was getting back to nature.
Oh, yeah.
I used to spend all my time indoors on my computer.
A lot of us do.
But then I started making an effort to get outside more, whether it was going for walks in the park, hiking, or even just sitting in my backyard.
Nature is so good for you.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the scenery either. It's the fresh air, the sunshine, the sounds.
It's a whole experience.
It is. It helps me disconnect from everything and just reset.
I love that.
Sometimes all I need is like a few minutes of quiet time in nature, and I feel so much better.
It's amazing how much of a difference that can make.
It really is.
Mm.
It's crazy how all these tips are connected.
How so?
Like getting enough sleep helps reduce stress. Reducing stress helps you sleep better.
Yeah, it's all interconnected.
It's like this positive feedback loop.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the connection between stress and those cravings for sugary, fatty foods, though.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about how lack of sleep messes with your hormones.
Right.
But does stress play a role, too?
It definitely does. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol.
Mm-hmm.
And cortisol can make you crave those high-calorie comfort foods.
Oh, so it's like your body is looking for a quick fix.
Exactly, like a burst of energy and pleasure to deal with the stress.
Even though the stress isn't like a physical threat.
Right. Our bodies haven't quite evolved to handle the kind of stress we experience in modern life.
So instead of running away from a tiger, we reach for a bag of chips.
Uh-huh, pretty much.
Yeah.
But the problem is that those foods don't actually help with the stress.
They just make you feel worse in the long run.
Right. They might provide a temporary distraction, but they just contribute to that cycle of stress cravings and weight gain.
So how do you break that cycle?
Well, it's about finding healthy ways to manage stress.
Like the meditation and nature stuff we talked about.
Exactly. And it's also about becoming more aware of your eating habits and making conscious choices to nourish your body.
That makes sense. So it's like a two-pronged approach.
I could say that.
This is making me think about how I used to be so hard on myself whenever I would slip up.
Oh, yeah.
Like if I had a stressful day and ate a whole pint of ice cream,
Yeah.
I would feel so guilty.
I think a lot of us do that.
Yeah. But I've learned that beating myself up doesn't help.
It really doesn't.
It just makes me feel worse.
Yeah.
And then I'm more likely to make more unhealthy choices.
It's a vicious cycle.
It is. So now I try to be more compassionate with myself.
That's great.
If I have a slip up, I acknowledge it, learn from it, and move on.
It's important to be kind to yourself.
It is. And I've noticed that when I'm kinder to myself, I'm actually more motivated to make healthy choices.
That makes sense.
It's like I'm giving myself permission to succeed instead of setting myself up for failure.
I love that. It's about creating a supportive environment for yourself.
Yes. This whole conversation is reminding me of that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Oh, that's a good one.
If you're constantly stressed and depleted, you're not going to have the energy to take care of yourself.
So true. Self-care is so important.
It is. It's about filling your own cup so you can show up as your best self.
I couldn't agree more.
All these tips are really making me think about things differently.
In what way?
Like, they're all important. But without that foundation of self-care and stress management, it's going to be so much harder to actually implement them.
That's a great point. It's about addressing the root causes.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like trying to build a house on a shaky foundation.
Perfect analogy.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about stress management, but let's talk about some of those other tips.
Sure.
I'm still thinking about that apple cider vinegar one.
Yeah.
I'm a little skeptical. Can vinegar really help you lose weight?
Well, it's important to remember there's no magic bullet for weight loss.
Right.
Apple cider vinegar is no exception. But there is some research suggesting that it might help regulate blood sugar levels and improve insulin sensitivity.
So it could potentially help create a better environment for weight loss.
Exactly. And for some people, it might also help reduce cravings and promote feelings of fullness.
Interesting. Maybe it could have helped me back when my blood sugar was all over the place.
It's possible. Some people find that having a tablespoon or two of apple cider vinegar diluted in water before meals helps stabilize their blood sugar.
Okay, I might have to try that. I've just heard it tastes pretty bad.
You can add honey or lemon to it.
Good idea. I'll have to try that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about HIA at home?
HI is great.
I like HIA workouts, but I'm a little clumsy.
That's okay. You can modify the exercises to fit your fitness level and coordination skills.
So I don't have to be like a super athlete to do it.
Not at all.
Okay, good. Because I'm definitely not a super athlete.
You can start with basic bodyweight exercises and gradually increase the intensity.
That makes me feel better.
And there are tons of resources online to help you modify exercises.
Perfect. No more excuses.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about mindful eating.
One of my favorites.
I am the queen of mindless eating.
Ha!
I could eat a whole bag of chips while watching a movie and not even realize it.
I think we've all been there.
It's like my hand has a mind of its own.
But mindful eating is all about paying attention to what you're eating and savoring the experience.
It's funny because my grandmother used to always tell me to slow down and chew my food properly.
Really?
Yeah, I thought she was just being old-fashioned. But now I realize she was right.
She was ahead of her time.
It's about actually tasting your food and appreciating it.
Exactly.
Okay, last one, NEAT activities.
All right.
I had to look this one up. It stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis.
That's right.
So it's basically all the calories you burn from everyday activities that aren't exercise.
Exactly.
Like walking, cleaning, fidgeting.
Yep, it all counts.
I love that. You get credit for just moving around.
You do.
Yeah.
And it can really add up over time.
Okay, so we've talked about all 9 tips, and I have to say, I'm feeling pretty inspired.
That's great.
I really appreciate how they focus on practical and sustainable changes, you know?
Yeah, it's not about deprivation or punishment.
Exactly. It's about making choices that nourish your body and mind.
I love that.
And it doesn't have to be complicated. It's about those small, consistent habits that add up over time.
Absolutely.
Progress, not perfection.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, so, before we did this whole deep dive, I was kind of dreading swimsuit season.
Oh, yeah.
I was already feeling that pressure to get, beach body ready.
Yeah. I feel like you're always bombarded with those messages.
Right, like it's this unrealistic expectation.
Totally.
And I'm just so over it.
Good for you.
I'm done with those crazy diets and trying to look a certain way,
I think a lot of people feel that way.
This time I'm just focusing on taking care of myself.
That's great.
Like nourishing my body, moving in ways that feel good, managing my stress.
Sounds like a much healthier approach.
It is. It feels so much better.
That's what matters.
And it's not just about me either.
Oh, yeah.
I want to set a good example for my kids.
It's so important.
I want them to have a healthy relationship with food in their bodies.
Definitely. It's all about setting a good example.
I want them to get caught up in all that diet culture stuff.
Right?
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, I'm feeling really optimistic. It's not about reaching some perfect destination or anything. It's about the journey.
It is.
Taking care of myself day by day, making healthy choices.
And enjoying the process.
Exactly. I'm so glad we had this conversation.
Me too. It's been great.
So to everyone listening out there, I hope this deep dive has inspired you to approach your own health and well-being in a positive way.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect. It's about progress, not perfection.
Absolutely.
Just making small changes that add up over time and being kind to yourself along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us on this journey, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.